Is it a case of the more you control the airflow, the more you've got to lose when you can't control the airflow? So, you've got a Formula One car which is extremely sophisticated and complicated in the way that it controls its airflow, and in an Indy car, it's not quite as complicated and maybe more forgiving.
Without hearing the quote verbatim, what my understanding from an engineer's point of view would have been that Scott's engineers would have assessed where they were in terms of pace and how they were going to run the race, and they would have made decisions on how to tune their car to enable them to do that, and it paid off. So it might have been the right call, it might have been the wrong call, but they rolled the dice and they got it right. And when you get it right, you're a hero, and when you get it wrong, you just fight another day. Yeah.
Got another question up the back.
Were you referring to the brakes, the progressive braking system currently being developed by Mercedes?
When was that, sorry?
Three comments earlier.
Talking about the development of technologies.
Where the ECU takes over if the driver lapses in concentration.
There's a lot of that technology. I mean, Bob can tell you stories about how clever the engineers can be with these cars. He was telling us a war story earlier, so I'll let him share it.
Which one was that?
The robot cars, essentially.
What, sending them around the tracks?
And how long ago that was.
Oh yeah, 91, 92, we had a car that could go around the Adelaide track quite happily, faster than Ayrton Senna could, without an Ayrton Senna in it. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can use, but I'm not sure the Mercedes technology on braking, or in fact the sort of things they have in Lexus, in ordinary cars, radar braking now, that wouldn't really work, and progressive braking probably wouldn't work on a Formula One car. You need braking when you need it, not progressively, and you need to get as late on the brakes as possible. So there is still a bit of a hero sitting in amongst four wheels with an engine behind him, and he has to think for himself now and again, and braking is one of those times when he really does have to think for himself, I think.
On the racetrack, the perfect example is the GT3 Porsches. The driver is faster if they don't trigger the anti-lock braking.
Driver's much faster if he doesn't brake at all.
Well, that's true, but only for a short time.
Craig, you were saying something this morning when we were just talking amongst ourselves. You were there the day that the guy on Top Gear, I can't remember his name now, the guy almost killed himself in the
Richard
dragster.
Hammond, yeah.
The day that he actually tried to drive a Formula One car, and I thought that was quite a fascinating little story, and I expect most people today would be interested to hear a bit more about that.
It was a classic Kiwi story. You know a bloke who knows a bloke, and we ring Garth up and we say, "What are you doing today?" And he says, "I'm at Silverstone, come down the back and see us." So we get down there, and there's a bit of palaver going on. He's on the show car team. We said, "What's going on?" He said, "Oh, Hammond's going to drive the Formula One car." "Oh, righto. Can we hang around?" "Yeah, please yourself, you know." So we kind of scarfed around the edge, and they had it was a whole Renault promotion thing, so they had a little Renault 2-litre car, which is essentially just a little bit slower than our local Toyota series cars. And Hammond gets out there and he bangs around and he spins the thing. Okay, there's a junior Formula car in world terms. So they put him in the big 3.5-litre car, which is a big muscular car. And he goes out there and he spins the thing. They went, "Oh, we'll put him back in the 2-litre." So they do, and he spins. What to do, you know, TV's rolling. "Oh, well, we'll put him in the car." And I said to the guys, "What are you doing?" They said, "No, it's what TV wants." "What have you done to the car to make it drivable?" There's nothing we can do. It's not a shopping trolley. You know, we've got maximum traction control and we've fiddled with the anti-stall and maximum downforce and blurdy-blur. It's up to him now. What they didn't show you on the TV, they showed him having difficulty taking off. They didn't show you the 16 times he couldn't move off. The anti-stall system caught him. He'd get 4 goes and then they'd bring him in and put the tyre warmers on and get it warm. He finally gets out there on the track and the car is so far in front of him, he's so frightened, he can't drive the thing fast enough to keep the heat in the tyres. So now he's on a vicious cycle. The car won't stop, it won't accelerate, it's not stable. Put it away, put the tyre warmers on. He kept trying, and he admitted that to his credit on the TV when you saw the footage, and he said, "Man, I can't do this." You know, it's funny as a fight, because coming down the wee straight, and they've got the paddle shift. Well, he's coming down the straight, and every time the car shifted, it lurched. And all the bolties on the wall are going, "Oh my God, what's wrong with the car?" Now, because I've had a lot to do with younger drivers, I said to them, "Hey, what you're seeing is a guy who's so shit scared, he's holding on for grim life. He's white knuckle on the steering wheel. And every time he moves his hand, It jerks the steering. That's what you're seeing. Oh, okay. Because at F1 level, even the bunny pay drivers are very, very, very good.
And they get that way because they have simulators now. And the simulator in a Formula One team, the one at McLaren, for instance, is in a room that's about 10 metres by 4 metres. It's effectively a Formula One car that doesn't go anywhere. It has more hydraulics than a simulator or an aircraft. It can do anything a Formula One car can do. I was lucky enough to be allowed in the simulator, and they turned it down to 15% of its capacity, which is 15% of what a Formula One car is. Because if it had been 100%, we would have broken our neck immediately under braking. Our necks weren't ready for it. At 15%, I was scheduled to do 10 laps, I could do 6, that's all, and I had to get out. And it was the same with everybody else, and they turned it down to 10% after that. This is in a simulator. Now, Lewis Hamilton, before he went Formula One driving proper, he did approximately 4,000 hours in that simulator at various tracks, every single track he was going to drive at, in fact. So Lewis was a bit of a hero when he got in the car, but it was second nature to him by the time he got there. Now, somebody like Hammond in the car, you haven't got a clue. You haven't got a clue what a Formula One car can do. 5G plus under braking alone. If you're in a Mercedes on the road, for instance, or a Lexus, or something that's really, really flash, heavy brakes, you're going at 100 Ks, you put your foot on the brake as hard as you can, you're pulling nearly 1G, probably half a G, maximum. If you lift your foot off the throttle in a Formula One car, it's 1G immediately, just by decelerating. Not by braking, just by decelerating. That's how efficient a Formula One car can be.
And even what Bob's saying is a little bit misleading because
No, it's not.
Well, no, it's correct. It's absolutely true. But I'll tell you now, because I've done a bit of driving around on the road with a G sensor in the car. Now, for most of you on your daily drive to work, you won't exceed 0.2 of a G. If you're sitting beside your partner in the car and they have to stop in a hurry, they might pull 0.6. So, you know, your late model car can pull 1G. I bet you most of you haven't done it. You know, so all of a sudden to be in something, you know, even now we Toyotas are pulling over 2G, your body's not in the seat anymore. You're restrained by the straps.
But we've completely got off the subject.
But, you know, and that becomes exponentially worse. You know, the whole point is, in a Formula One car, if you didn't have straps on, when you hit the brake, it would spit you out of the cockpit.